Good morning. You're next on WBSM.
Well, good morning, Mr. Weisberg. How are you?
Good. You can just call me Tim.
Okay, Tim. Good morning. My name is Jill Marie Ussach, and I just wanted to comment on something because I used to be a former member of the Bedford School Committee, and I did not always see eye to eye with Lou St. John. I got to tell you, his statements this morning were quite accurate. We have allowed the children almost to run the schools in some cases, and I think it's atrocious. I remember when I was on there, I had made a proposal to try to get uniforms, and they thought that was too costly. So we said, well, why don't we get the children in Dockers and loose skirts, pants? It was not expensive to give them all a clean slate and try to improve things and straighten out the discipline, and that was poo-pooed. And it's a shame because, you know, we are getting a lot of people in the community that naturally are not as educated, and they can't help the children, and that's understandable. They try, and you're not going to get all the parents in a diverse community like we've become working hand-in-hand with the school system. They're trying. But I'm kind of appalled that they're asking for another $11 million when I've seen everything go rapidly down the hill, and it has nothing to do with me not being there. I've just seen it regress completely to a stage that we have a level 4 or level 5 school, 49% absenteeism or attendance at private school. Nothing is improving, and they keep asking for money to be allocated from the city council. And what are they doing? They've lost a lot of good teachers. Some, yes, maybe had to go, but the majority of them, no. They've taken a lot of administration that was there originally and moved them back into the classroom to handle things. And I don't see it getting any better, and I think they should be held accountable for this. They can't have a perfect system, but they're too frightened of parents wanting to sue. That's been their main problem right along. Heavens forbid that they discipline the child. They're more intimidated by the parents and their legal rights rather than making the child take onus for what they do incorrectly. And I think that's appalling. And I don't see it getting any better after 5 years.
And really the issue is that the parents don't want to believe that it's their kid that can do it and that can be causing these problems. And they don't want to accept the responsibility as parents for having failed in that regard.
No, you are correct in a lot of cases. But then again, there's no law that, unless they do something horrendous, that can legally make the parent, liable and mandate them to go along with what the teachers want. But a student that throws a book at a teacher, suppose they hit that teacher in the head. Hold that booklet into the teacher's eye. Where are they going to learn that some children do not do well in their academic? I remember sitting at a meeting one time when transportation came in, and one of the gentlemen, I think it was Reliable Bus Assembly, showed seats that they had, leather seats that they had carved all up with knives or whatever they did them, destructive. I mean, where do you put the onus? If you don't teach a child discipline, and you let them get away with everything without, making them realize that they have to take ownership and responsibility, you're setting that child up for great failure. And I think that's a shame. I think they ought to be able to either expel the child if the child does something serious, a serious infraction, or have them, have some form of discipline. You just can't let them go back into the classroom, and they go back and they say, gotcha. And on the opposite end, sometimes when I work with students or I work with younger people now out of school, they are so far behind that they need to take remedial reading, they need to do other things like that. I mean, my husband's a college professor, and he sees it all the time. He says, gee, they're coming in and they're not prepared. I don't think we're really doing what we need to do. I mean, nothing is perfect. It's not a perfect world, but they really have to start putting an onus and not be so intimidated by a parent that they don't want to take discipline, because heaven forbid the parent should protest. If they send a child to school and they say to the teacher, educate my child and work with them all day, and the child is unruly and really serious problem in a classroom that they disrupt the other children's learning, they've got to put their foot down and say to a parent, this is unacceptable. They've got to do this. And yet they want more and more money. Teachers can't even buy supplies from the school department, get their own rather. They have to bring things in because they can't afford this, they can't afford that, teacher. But you've got high administration fees, you've got more and more specialists that they're bringing in to work for this and that. And where are you doing? The children's test scores aren't as good as they should be. They haven't improved. and discipline is unruly. And heavens forbid the principal or a teacher says something, the child goes back in the classroom and looks at the teacher and says, "Gotcha."
Yep.
It's disheartening.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the call.
You're more than welcome.
Take care.